Hey everybody, Miss Thompson again. I'm going to show you how to do unit rates and rates of proportionality and equations and the whole thing from soup to nuts in this video. So I'm going to start with something that I just had to figure out myself. I'm going to Boston and I got a rate that was on the internet for a rental car. I'm going to pay $284 to rent a car. Okay, for 4 days. Which I think, well, yeah, that's kind of a good deal. But how do I know? I don't know. Let's see how much I'm going to pay for just 1 day of renting a car. So how do I figure that out? So I want to get this down to just how much I'm going to have to spend to rent that car for 1 single day. So how do I get this down to 1 day? It's going to be $284 for, I'm going to put day here, for 4 days. All right. Oh, whoa, hold on, look at this. I can get this down pretty easily because this is we can reduce this down to 1. Oh my goodness, reducing it down to 1. How do I reduce down to 1? I'm going to divide by 4 up here. And I'm going to divide by 4 up here. So when I do that, 4 divided by 4 is 1 day. Remember, I'm going to keep my units, my unit symbols the same. 284 divided by 4 is $71 a day. All right. So now, this is what we call our unit rate or the rate of proportionality. Okay, $71 for 1 day renting a car. Now, granted, it is like a teeny little car, but so now, how do we come up with this is $71 for 1 day of renting a car? How do I figure out how many I'm going to Boston for 6 days? So how do I figure out how much my total is going to be for 6 days? Well, all I'm gonna have to do is multiply this because 1 times 6 is gonna give me 6 days. I'm gonna multiply this by 6. When I do that, I'm gonna go over here just to do the figuring. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 times 7 is 42. $426 for 6 days. All right. Now, I can always figure this out using a tape diagram too. And how do I do that? I'm going to put my tape diagram. This is going to be 4 days, 284 days. Then I'm going to say this was like a mini one. So I'm saying this is 4 days. This is going to be divided up into 4 equal sections. 1, 2, 3. Wait, hold on. Like that. No. Well, it's going to equal 4. I like to do the boxes anyway. So here's 4 days, $284. So it's still going to equal $71 here. All right. So now we've got our unit rate. $71 I'm going to pay for 1 day of renting a car. How do I figure out how to put this in an equation form? All right. So I'm going to clear off some of this. Make ourselves a nice clean spot. All right, so here's our unit rate. $71 for rental 1 day. How do I write an equation? Well, the equation's always written y equals something times x. All right. So, this one, which one's going to make sense? Well, how am I going to make this so that it makes sense? This is the 1 day. How did I figure out how to figure out how many in 6 days? Well, I multiplied the 6 days by $71. So if I made the $71 And then I'm going to multiply by that. Then what I did was what? Multiply that by the number of days. I should equal the total cost of renting the car. So let's see if we can figure this out. Look. Now, what I'm going to do is, instead of using X's and Y's, I'm just going to use the $sign and the D for days. Because the only reason I'm not using a D for dollars is because that's too confusing, and both of them will be D's. So, the total cost, what I'm trying to figure out is the total cost. The total cost, oh, that's going to be in dollars. Okay, then I'm going to take the days over here, and I'm going to have to multiply them by 71 in order to get the total cost. So this is what I think my formula is, but let's just see if this works out. So instead, I just substituted these letters in for an actual number. So if this formula is going to work out, what I should be able to do is multiply 71 by the number of days I'm going to be in Boston, which is 6. 71 times 6. And that should equal the total dollar amount. So when I get 71 times 6, holy smokes, look at that. It's 426. That's what I came up with for the total cost if I figured it out up here. So I know that this equation is going to be right. 426. And the reason why I know that is because it works out. The other way that you can figure out which letter to put with what number is just to look at these two numbers, 71 and 1. Which one is the biggest number? Well, it's the dollars. So what I'm going to have to do is multiply the days by the dollars, and that's how I'm going to get the total cost. So if I really get stuck, I can just think to myself, well, this one's got to equal the bigger number. The bigger number is going to be by itself, and I'm going to have to multiply the days by something in order to get the 71. So I hope that makes it a little more clear. The easiest way to do it is just to figure out, once you have your formula, see if it works, because now I can replace this D with anything, and it's still going to give me the correct total cost for renting a car. So if I want to test this formula, 71 times D is going to equal the total cost. What I could do is go back to the very beginning in the original part, $284 for a rental car for 4 days. Okay, so if this equation is the right one, I should be able to put 71 times 4 is going to equal 284. Well, let's just figure it out. 71 times 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 7 times 4 is 28. Look at that. That's how I know this equation is working. I've written this the right way. I just substituted the numbers of days in for this letter and then straight multiplied to get to the total cost.